Hello everyone and welcome back to the Houdini Fundamentals course. In this video we're going to kick off the first of a three-part mini-series dealing with the topic of thinking procedurally. Now, as I said previously, we were going to spend a little bit of time laying down a nice solid foundation before we jumped into the Houdini application. In the last video, we took some time and looked at nodes and networks and parameters. We created all sorts of interesting networks with nodes. And we did it all with real-world objects. And that was a really nice start in laying that foundation out before we even jump over into the application. As a matter of fact, we did dive into the application for just a second, and I showed you setting up 3 cameras with a switcher. And it was pretty funny because the network looked just like what I drew on the whiteboard. So now we have to talk about thinking procedurally, because Houdini offers a procedural environment. I mean, that is where you work. Everything you do inside of Houdini is, well, through the creation of steps. I mean, you're just setting up procedures here and there and here and there that you can go back and change. A lot of people ask me, why, Buzz, why do you love Houdini more than any other 3D application? I mean, because Houdini is my personal favorite application.
Right.
You know what my answer is? Because in Houdini, I can be a time traveler. You can't really be a time traveler in all other applications. What I mean by that is at any time I can go, or at least I can simulate, going back in time and changing something without destroying all of the work that I've done.
Oh, okay.
And boom, I get the outcome that I was looking for that I may not have got the first time around.
Right, I got you.
And we're going to hint at and demonstrate in a roundabout way some of that here in this video. So, before we get started, I would like to remind those that already grasp the concept of thinking procedurally that you can do one of 2 things. You can use the stop button and move on to the next video, or you can use your track bar and skim through the video. Remember, I am targeting these videos to our complete beginners. I'm targeting them to Mr. Terry, our student, because, well, Terry doesn't come from a procedural world. He comes from, well, 3ds Max and Maya.
That's right.
And while there are some things that can be done procedurally in those 2 applications, they don't offer a procedural environment for everything, and so you don't really think that way.
Yeah, the concept's not foreign to me. It's just that how important it is what I don't think I grasped.
Oh,
yet.
it's key. It is key when you deal with working inside of Houdini. So I'm not trying to push the idea of those that understand move on. I'm just reminding everybody, don't sit here and stare at the screen going, oh, this is so basic. Just remember who I'm targeting, and you can always move on to the next video. All right, so with that out of the way, we start talking about procedural thinking. The first thing we need to do is make sure that everybody understands what the term procedure means. So let us look at the definition real quick. So from the American Heritage Dictionary of the English language, procedure says or means a series of steps taken to accomplish an end. Step, 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 happy me. Okay, so I have done a series of steps, and I have accomplished whatever it is that I was wanting to do. And there you go. We're now done. Everybody understands procedural thinking. Okay, maybe not. There's a little bit of effort that's involved. But let's start simple and start working our way up. In this video, once again, I'm going to use a lot of real-world examples for the whole thinking procedural topic. Let's go ahead and wipe that off. Let's start out with a topic that everyone should be familiar with, and most of our viewers are probably not fans of.
Okay.
How about the task washing dishes?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So there's a procedure for it. There's a series of steps involved with washing dishes. Let's take a look at what they are. How about let's just start out, we'll simplify this.
Okay.
Let's start out with plugging the sink. Now, everything I'm going to draw is going to be with a series of nodes and connection lines. So we're going to be forming networks. It's going to be using everything that we learned in the last video. So we'll start out by plugging sink.
Yeah, you don't want your water going down the drain.
No. Now, does this node have parameters, Terry?
Well, yes, it could.
Okay.
Because you can have different size plugs.
Ooh, I like it.
Because, for instance, my personal sink at home I have 2 separate drain sizes on my sinks. One side has a garbage disposal, the other side is just a standard drain.
Okay.
So if I use one for the other one,
So
it'll go slide down to the garbage disposal, and then I'm,
that's just not good.
Right.
Okay, so plug sink. After that, how about we run some water?
Right. And then the parameters for this could be hot and cold.
It could be temperature, yeah. So run water. All right, so we've got some water going. Now, at this point, we can easily start changing around the steps depending on how you like to perform the task of washing dishes. But at this point, I'm going to go and add some soap in while the water's running, create some suds.
That's right.
Get a little sud action going on. So add a little soap.
Some soaps.
All right, so now, while the water's still running.
You'll say the parameter for the soaps could be brand of soap you use.
Yeah, what type? And how much? The amount.
Grease cutting action.
Or not. How much? A cup of soap?
That's right.
A teaspoon of soap.
A cup of soap. That would be insane.
Okay, so the next thing, how about while the water's still running, we go ahead and start sliding our dishes in. So we'll say add dishes.
See? I would have waited until the sink filled up before I turned the water on.
And my daughter plugs the sink, puts the dishes in first, then turns on the water.
But your daughter has water conservation on mind. I don't care about the environment.
Okay, good point. All right, so adding dishes, and so, of course, now the water is still rising, so let's go ahead and stop the water. So this would be an example of something that might not have any parameters.
Just on, off.
Exactly. So not every node has parameters that you're going to be working with. So we're going to stop.
But it did do a function. It turned everything
off.
It did.
It had a very specific operation. Okay. So we stop the water now. In order to perform the task of washing dishes, we better start actually doing some washing.
That's right.
So we're going to scrub our dishes here. So scrub dishes. Very nice. And as we scrub each dish, we're probably going to need to rinse them off. You know, not everyone does that.
They don't rinse off the dishes?
Not everyone.
So you get a nice soapy film over all your dishes?
I'm just saying.
Next time you eat like pasta, it's got a nice soapy taste?
So here we are. We have defined a task. We have laid down a series of steps. Boy, that was cutting it close. To accomplish the task of washing dishes. As a procedural network, we can go back in time in this case and change something. What if we did sneak back in time? And, all right, now I'm going to look for things to change to make a radical difference in the outcome of this procedure.
Okay.
What if, instead of adding soap, we added oil? Okay. Well, you were talking about having that oily, greasy film, so fine. What if we add oil?
Well, you're adding more oil to your dirt.
But now have We have just radically changed our outcome, haven't we?
That's right.
Okay.
And you still have parameters. You have like baby oil, motor oil.
Very good. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. You're spot on. What if we, all right, check this out. We can remove steps as well. So what if we didn't like the outcome and we thought to ourselves, well, all right, first of all, let me stay serious for a minute before we have too much fun here.
Okay.
Changing parameters. We can go back and change parameters and get a different outcome, such as on run water, one of the parameters, as we were talking about a second ago, might be the temperature of the water. So what if we go back and change it to cold water?
It'll be harder to wash the dishes, but it will eventually wash them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't do as good of a job.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but again, it's going to affect the outcome of this task, washing dishes.
That's right. You can even plug in other nodes in there. For instance, if you have a really dirty pot, you can have to soak it.
Very good. Very nice. Absolutely. So just take other nodes, plug them into the network, and we have, once again, modified the procedure of washing dishes. And now what if we started pulling nodes out? So let's say that stop the water. If we took stop the water out, well, we're probably going to do nothing but what?
Well, just pretty much flood the entire kitchen.
Exactly. What if we forgot to add dishes?
You're not a good dishwasher.
Once again, failure. So you can see how changing any of these things will change the final outcome. So this is the game we're going to play in this video. We're going to have fun with some real-world stuff like this. Now, the idea of showing you the whole washing dishes thing was really just to show you a series of steps to accomplish an end. So once again, series of steps to accomplish an end. That's what we're going to look at, but we're going to focus on recipes, and we're going to focus on food. So we're going to do a little bit of cooking. This is about to become a cooking show.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead, and we'll jump in here real quick. And let's go ahead and hide this, and we'll hide this. And how about we bring up some nodes? Aha. And let's go ahead and give ourselves a layer to work with.
Just like beforehand, you've prepared something.
Yes, which I promised I wouldn't do that often, and look at me, here I am doing it. Excellent. All right, so we have a certain amount of nodes already provided to us. So these are the only nodes we have. So we can't go out and add anything new. We have got, let's just take a look.
So I can't add anything to
nothing
this?
new. Nope.
Okay.
We've got flour, eggs, salt, butter, baking powder, milk, chocolate, sour cream, sugar, and extract. Let that brain start working on what it is that we can make.
Okay.
We also have, so over on our equipment side, I'm adding water to the equipment side because we just get it from the sink, okay?
Nope. All right.
So we've got water, we've got a mixer, we've got a pan, we've got heat source. This could be an oven, this could be a stove, this could be a microwave.
Open flame.
We have a cold source. This could be a freezer. This could be a refrigerator. Once again, we've got to think about the parameters that are available to us. There are different kinds of flours available. All I need is one node, and I need a parameter to be type. No different than when we, let's say, create a piece of geometry in Houdini, and we say that the type is a NURBS object, or is the surface made of polygons, or a polygon mesh, or is it a primitive? So once again, so flour type. Also with each of these, another parameter would be how many. So if I said we're going to make scrambled eggs, right?
Okay.
So we start out real simple. We're going to get some eggs. A parameter of that might be number of eggs. So I could say we're going to take 2 eggs, and then maybe we'll just simply mix them.
Okay.
So we'll blend them up.
Scrambling them.
And then apply them to a heat source. Or actually we could mix them into a pan. And then we
could throw them directly on the oven. It would still work.
And then we can put them into a heat source and scramble our eggs at the end. So here, once again, here we are. We have created a procedural network. I can now come back in time, and what if I was to recook this network with some different parameters? For instance, I had 12 eggs.
That'd be a lot of scrambled eggs.
And in the mixing process, I added in some, what do you think, some milk?
Yeah, make them fluffy.
And maybe in the pan, the pan maybe has 2 inputs, right? One, you're going to pour in another one. Maybe I put some butter in here.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yep.
And then we replace the heat source with a cold source.
Okay.
It just doesn't work, does it?
No. You get a result, just not a good one.
Save them till tomorrow. But once again, here we are setting up a procedural network just by making some very small changes. The outcome is different. But these are the nodes we have to work with. I've divided the nodes up. When you guys begin working in Houdini, you're going to find that, there's a lot of nodes, a lot of nodes available. And when you're working in a particular context, and we'll start talking about context in detail a little bit later on, your nodes are generally categorized, nodes that will generate data, nodes that are going to deform data, nodes that are going to, and inside these categories are just going to be a whole bunch of different nodes. And that makes it real easy when you're looking for a particular node in a sea of nodes. And when you're new to Houdini, you don't start out by understanding what every node in the hundreds of nodes, what they do, right? So by having everything categorized, it makes it a lot nicer for you to go in there and say, okay, well, I'm cooking here, and I'm looking for a piece of hardware. Well, I'm probably not going to look over here in all the different food items. I'm probably going to look over here in my equipment section, and that's going to allow me to narrow it down quickly. Okay, I need to put this stuff that I've just mixed together into a pan. So, maybe something here might work out.
Right.
So this is what we're going to be doing, and there's how this parallels the Houdini world. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and start making some stuff. Let's start simple.
All right.
Let's make some chocolate milk.
Okay.
So if I was to grab a milk node, which is available, and I was to grab a chocolate node, I'll just call it choc, and I was to take these 2 nodes and plug them into a mixer, and then take that and, actually, that's good enough. Yeah. If I want, I could store it in a cold source afterwards or just drink it. So I'll just put cold right here. We'll put it in the fridge till later. Chocolate milk. Agreed?
Yeah. That's
simple.
pretty much what it is.
Now, by coming back and adjusting the amount of milk or adjusting the amount of chocolate or even the type of chocolate.
Right, I was going to say, you're not going to put a chocolate bar in a glass of milk and call it chocolate milk.
No. Well, some people might.
Well, yeah,
I put it in the microwave for a little while.
Wrong people will do that.
So that is that really is chocolate milk. It's that simple.
Yep.
So with some small modifications, what are we going to get if let's say we took some milk.
Mm-hmm.
See if you can guess this one. And again, let's take some chocolate. That's what I was missing over here.
Oh, he's
H.
Kosh.
There we go. CHOC. I knew something was bothering me, but my head was elsewhere. So we take this milk, and we bring in a heat source.
Ah, I see where you're going already.
And we heat up the milk. And then we come in here, and we mix the results together.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put mix. What do we have?
You have hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. So chocolate milk, hot chocolate.
Now, this is actually where it's going to be very important to know what parameter you want for your chocolate.
Okay.
Because if you have a solid bar of chocolate versus a powdered chocolate, you're going to want to put the powdered chocolate in after the milk's already heated up.
Very good.
Whereas if you have the chocolate solid bar, you're going to want to heat that up while the milk's heating up so it'll melt the chocolate down.
Exactly. And again, that's the cool thing about Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to stop and just logically think about what it is you're doing. And the same thing applies here.
I gotcha.
Okay? And that's what's so neat. I mean, it really does parallel the real world.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to stop and think about the procedure. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? All right, watch this. With very few modifications with what we've been dealing with, let's see if we can now make something radically different.
Okay.
So what if I was to take some chocolate once again, spelled a little bit better this time, and now let's bring some sugar in. Because as a reminder, I have sugar over here. Okay. And some eggs. Bring in a couple eggs.
I don't know what you're making, but this is going to be really sweet.
Interested, huh?
Yeah, chocolate and sugar.
What if I mix these together? So we'll put a mixer node in, and I'll take the output of the chocolate in there, I'll take the sugar in there, and let's bring our eggs over here. And we'll beat all that together.
Okay.
Now, over here on the side, what if I took some milk, and I've got some extract way down over here, okay? And with the extract, I don't have a specific type on it for the simple fact that that is a parameter of that node. So I can say a vanilla extract,
right,
an almond
you can have
extract.
extracts for many different things.
And they have a brandy extract that you can get.
I know what you're making.
Hang on, I'll ask you in just a second. I'll see if you got it. So extract, and again, I'm just going to go ahead and put one of the parameters up here.
Okay.
And fix my Y. There we go. Now, if I was to take these two... Okay, what am I making?
Well, just from the ingredients that you're using, varying, of course, how much you put in there, it looks like you're making a mousse.
Ooh, very good.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. So if we mix these together, and then we take and we heat the outcome of this, and then with that hot, we take and we mix all of this into it and whip that up. So once again, mix.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you're running out of room.
Smack it in the fridge. So we're going to put a cold node down here. So we've just put the results over in the fridge, left it in there for a few hours, and we have mousse.
That's really cool.
This is blender chocolate mousse.
That's right. No, I mean, that's just cool that you can hook up the nodes set up, essentially, to make an outcome through your procedure.
So we've started out up here with chocolate milk, and then by just some very slight modifications to the network, we had hot chocolate. Then we turned around, and with just a few more modifications of the network, we made chocolate mousse.
Yeah, slap a couple more nodes on there, and there you go.
So not bad, huh?
That's pretty amazing.
Okay, so starting to get the idea of thinking procedurally?
Yeah, you can easily go within Houdini itself and just create, a model of something. If you need to start adding more to it, you can actually slap some more nodes on there and have a totally different outcome.
Yep, you can jump back in Houdini. When we get in there and start working, we can easily see that we can come back in time and we can start putting other nodes in that's going to affect things at that particular area in the network. By adding a node right here, the whole outcome is going to be different, but we're not affecting this side of the network. We're affecting what's coming into this node right here. Mm-hmm. Okay? So really important stuff to understand. Now, right now, I'm still trying to keep this very general, very much tied to the real world. But as we move into part 2 and part 3 of the Procedurally Thinking or Thinking Procedurally mini-series, we're going to start talking more and more about data and then a little bit about Houdini and take a look at Houdini as well. Right now, let's keep it to the real world. Okay. At this point, this is your little intermission. If those of you that are watching completely get it, at this point, you can go ahead and stop the video. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just beat this concept to death by moving over to a website now. Let's look at some chocolate cake. So here we are at a site that my wife loves to use all the time, allrecipes.com. And there's all sorts of great recipes here. Mm-hmm. And there's some chocolate cake we're going to make.
Okay.
So once again, for those of you that are just wanting to hang out, to just really make sure you got this solid understanding of procedural thinking, let's keep on. So let's go ahead and jump back over here real quick. And what I'm going to do, just since I'm hanging on to everything I'm creating in this class, we'll just simply hide that out. And then we'll jump over here, and there we go. Let's make some chocolate cake.
Okay.
All right, so for chocolate cake, what I'm going to do is actually take a look at our requirements over here. So we've got milk, we've got chocolate. Again, these are just parameters of the chocolate. We've got sugar. Once again, the fact that it's white sugar and the amount of sugar is just parameters. We've got eggs. Sour cream. Did we have sour cream on the board? Ha-ha! We have sour cream. Very nice. All right, let's see. What else do we have down here? Baking soda. All right, I have baking powder over there.
Okay.
The parameter is type of baking powder. Is it baking soda or just baking powder? And you know the difference, right?
Yes.
What is it?
The baking soda. Well, the baking
powder.
Baking powder can be used. Regardless.
Yes, and baking soda cannot be used
if it recalls for baking powder. So
okay.
There you go. Or did I flip that?
if it you can use baking powder. Mm-hmm. You can't use baking soda where it calls for baking powder.
Right.
Okay, but vice versa, you can substitute the baking powder.
That's right.
I'm not a cook. I'm just making this up.
No, you're absolutely correct.
All right, so let's jump.
You are correct. I know that for a fact. You're correct.
So we do have some baking powder right there. In our case, we'll set the type over to the baking soda. Mm-hmm. And coming back over here as we cruise on down, so we've got water, of course. We've got flour. In this case, parameters set to cake flour. Right. And we've got butter. So we've got everything we need. So let's take a look at the instructions on how we can create this chocolate cake and see how we can turn this into a procedural network. So once again, procedure, a series of steps, aimed at accomplishing an end. And here we are, directions. And look at this. It's a series of steps. How amazing, right? Mm-hmm. So first off, preheat oven, blah, 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 grease pan. Not going to worry about doing that and drawing this network out.
Okay.
Grate chocolate. You gotta love parameters.
Right.
One of my parameters, was it great at chocolate? The answer was yes. So in a small saucepan, boil the milk and chocolate until mixture forms a custard. Well, we can make this very simple. Basically, let's take the milk and the chocolate, put it in a saucepan, and boil it on a heat source. Sound good?
That's right.
All right, so we'll start way up here. And we'll just throw some. Actually, you know what? Bear with me, guys. I'm going to move this over just a little bit because I've got several things I'm going to be writing here. So we'll put milk. And we'll put chocolate with an H. Mm-hmm. And we're going to take these guys and we're going to put them in a saucepan as the instructions call, but our node is simply called a pan.
So the parameter would be sauce.
That's right. Okay, so we've got it in a pan, and then what does it want us to do?
I want you to boil it.
That's right. So we need what kind of node, Terry?
You need the heat source.
Awesome. Absolutely. Very nice. So let's go ahead and jump back over here. The first part of our network has been drawn out. All right, so next, cream the butter or margarine and sugar. Mm-hmm. Add eggs and sour cream to the creamed mixture.
That's right.
So to cream it, a setting on our mixture or mixer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, depending on what kind of mixer you have, yes.
Okay.
I will just say yes.
So we're going to be putting our butter and our sugar into a mixer and creaming it.
That's right.
Okay, so let's jump back over here and let's do just that. So we'll come back up here. So this is kind of like its own little thing. And again, when you're working in Houdini, it's going to very much be just like what we're doing here. That's why I'm going that extra mile by continuing to work with recipes, because I really want to see how a bunch of different branches can all slowly start to come together to give us a final result. Because in Houdini, it works out that way. You might start off with a sphere and make, do a part of a network over here, then you might start off with a torus or a grid and do some stuff over here. But before it's all over with, these guys end up working their way through all sorts of nodes and connections, and you end up with a final result. Okay, and you're about to see the same thing take place here.
Right. I just got a revelation of what you're doing here, because step 2 and step 3 were not related to each other.
That's right.
I mean, they are related in the massive, look of everything.
In the final result, they're very much related. You change one of these steps, and boom, everything's different.
But these 2 steps right now are completely separate from what's going on.
Exactly. It's very important for everyone to understand that what we're doing here, I don't want anybody to think this, that it's always just going to be step, 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 or something that's tightly related, like over here just happens to be a step, and over here just happens to be a step. I kid you not, very often, almost always when doing anything serious inside of Houdini, you're going to have network part over here, network part over here, a network part down here. All of that might feed into some network area down here. And we have Robotron. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so, but that's very much the case.
Nice
okay?
reference.
All right, well, thank you. So we have this one section over there. Now we're going to take our butter and our sugar and mix them. So let's do that. So we'll take our butter, and we'll take our sugar. And with these two guys, we'll simply, what note are we going to pull out, Terry?
We are going to, what do you have? Mixer.
Very good. Mixer. So, here we are with a mixer. All right, so we're mixing these guys together. Now let's look very carefully at the instructions. Why am I doing this? Because when you're working in Houdini, this is so important that you stop and think about exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish, and don't try to get ahead of yourself, because you can introduce all sorts of interesting problems when you start dealing with complex networks.
Right.
So I want to go back here and carefully read this step and make sure that we follow it properly. So we need to take our butter and our sugar and cream them. So we're mixing them. Then we're adding eggs and sour cream to the creamed mixture.
So you're not going to throw them into the mixer.
Bingo. Exactly. So let's go ahead and jump back over here to our whiteboard. And let's say the outcome, check this out. The outcome of that is going to go to a mixer.
Okay, so you're going to put another mixer node in there.
So I got another mixer node. Now I can come in here and say, all right, let's take my eggs, and let's take my sour cream. And we'll take these guys and we'll plug them in. So now we have our creamed butter and sugar, and then we added our eggs and our sour cream to the creamed butter and sugar, and we mixed it. Does that make sense?
Yes, because the butter and sugar made one result. Then you're adding the eggs and the sour cream to that final result of the butter and sugar.
Precisely, and that is exactly what it was calling for down here. It said cream this, and it said then add these things, here's the key thing, to the result mixture, to the creamed mixture. All right, so now let's move on over to step number 4 in our procedure. Dissolve the baking soda in water. Well, kind of sounds to me like we're doing something off in a whole other world again. So before we even go any further, let's go ahead and take care of that. So jumping back over here real quick, that means we're going to have some baking soda. So how about I just say baking soda. So this is my baking powder. It's BS. And it was pulled from over here. And we just simply set the parameter of type to baking soda. Okay? So we take that, and here we are with water. So we've got that node available. So we grab these two guys. And we do what?
You're going to mix them.
That's right. So we're going to need another mixer. And I'll just write in mix here, save a little space.
Well, it's a technical dissolve, but you have to mix it together.
Yeah, so, and it's going to dissolve when you do that.
That's what the end result would be.
So, again, jumping back over here. So, dissolve the baking soda in water. So we're just going to say that's mixing it, because when we do mix it, the baking soda is going to dissolve. And add to. You got to read that properly here. So basically add the result to the cream mixture. So dissolve it and add it to cream mixture.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're going to have another mixer
Very good.
node.
You're right on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the outcome of this and then the outcome of this and put these into a mixer. Da-da-da. Make sense? All right, so let's continue. So once again, look at this. Here we are. We've created its own little network, a bigger network, an own little guy over here, and then all of it's hanging out together. And we haven't even messed with what's over on the left-hand side. He's been heated and simmering over there.
Yeah, he's still simmering over there.
Exactly. So, all right, so now that we have all of this, let's go ahead and jump back over to our instructions. And following it on down, so dissolve baking soda, add to the cream mixture. Done. Add the flour and mix thoroughly. Oh, so we're going to take the result and add the flour to it. So that means we're going to throw some flour in here. I'll just stick him right about here. Looks good.
Okay.
Now, to follow the instructions the way I interpret them, I'm going to take this mixed outcome right there and this guy and mix them. Because once again, taking a look at the instructions, it says, and add to the cream mixture, okay? Then add flour and mix thoroughly. Okay, so now we're going to add the flour in, mix thoroughly. Very good. Add the chocolate mixture and beat well. Oh, well, it looks like now I can take the outcome of this over here and take this guy way on down. And here I am about to join these two networks together. The mixer. Oh, that's fantastic. I smell some chocolate cake coming. All right, so then after we have mixed in our chocolate sauce right there, then it wants us to pour into a greased and floured pan and then heat source.
Well, there you go.
Well, this is easy to wrap up, so we'll just simply take this into what node, Terry?
To the pan node.
Very good, to a pan node. And then take it from there into what node?
Heat source.
Into a heat source. Fantastic. And there you go. We have created, erase that out of there, a network that describes the construction of chocolate cake.
There you go.
And that's what Houdini's all about. Creating networks to describe something. I'm going to model a character. You're going to create a pretty sophisticated character, a very sophisticated network to describe your character. But the cool thing is, in Houdini, you're a time traveler. You can go back at any point and change something in that network, and the network will recook and give you a new output.
I gotcha.
That's why I love using the recipe things as an analogy, because if we were to go back in time and change something, like let's say we added more milk, we took out our eggs, or maybe we wanted to add some extract. So we added some vanilla extract, which will change things up just a little bit. And we added that to this phase right here. And that line's just, that's embarrassing. That's still embarrassing, but that'll work. Now, by adding that in, what has to happen with this network for us to see the final result? Us, the person who's going to eat the cake.
It's going to have to rebake.
Beautiful. Yeah, say no more.
I was going to say go back up the stack, but that's right.
All right, Max user. No, we've got to recook the network. That word cook really is important, because in Houdini, when you make changes, it's not like we're constantly solving every single node. Like if you rotate the screen, it's not like data has to propagate through the entire network every single time. Could you imagine how slow things would get?
Oh, yeah.
Everything simply cooks all the way through to the end. So, here we are. Down here at the very end, we've cooked all the way to that point, and there's no reason for Houdini to recalculate or repropagate data through this network unless something changes in the network. Then we can recook it. And we'll talk about cooking later, but I just kind of wanted to sneak the word cook in there right now because it works beautifully with our recipe analogy that we're using here and parallels with how you work inside of Houdini. So I love that. Okay, so here we are. We have made a chocolate cake, and we've used some pretty standard things. But now, again, it's a procedural network. By just rearranging things, rearranging these nodes, changing the parameters a little bit, you can get an entirely different outcome if you'd like. So that's what we'd like right now. That's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and jump in here. Once again, as a reminder, for anyone that might be getting a little bit tired because they are grasping the idea of thinking procedurally, please feel free to advance to the next video. And I apologize for continuing to say that, but I know that I'm really hounding on this topic, but it's really important to me. Okay, so we've taken a look at chocolate cake.
That's right.
No pictures? Yeah, there's no graphics of it. All right, everybody visualize.
Imagine chocolate cake. The cake is a lie.
Now, we saw milk, and we saw some sugars and chocolate and, flour, water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at some chocolate cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies.
So chocolate chip cookies, that's pretty different, right? That's not cake.
Right.
If somebody handed me chocolate cake and handed me a chocolate chip cookie, I would say, yeah, there's a big difference between the two.
That's right.
But for the most part, flour, sugar, two types of sugar.
I can already see where you're going with this.
Powder, there's all sorts of stuff in here that's a little bit different. Okay, now, as a matter of fact, the funny thing is, in this particular case, and we're going to swap real quick, this is not the one that I want to use.
Okay.
I actually want to use one that's very similar. So hang on, let me pull that one up. And we're back with the correct recipe. Here we are with chocolate chip cookies 3. Much better. The problem with chocolate chip cookies 2 was the directions. They were really quite poor. They did not make clear what it was that they were looking for you to do with the ingredients. If I was rating that recipe, I would have probably rated it about a 1 star and accidentally burned my house down trying to figure out how to put them together. All right, but here we are, much better set of directions. So let's go ahead and create our chocolate chip cookies. Once again, we're using ingredients that are very, very similar to the chocolate cake that we made just a few minutes ago.
Right.
So here we are once again with flour and baking powder and we got some salt, chocolate chips. So again, last time grated chocolate, this time chocolate chips. We've got butter, we've got sugar, we've got some extract, which we added in at the end last time around. We've got eggs and confectioner's sugar. So here we are with another sugar. All right, so directions. Combine flour, baking powder, and salt, and then set aside. So let's go ahead and get started with that first.
Right, because whenever you want to do that, you want to combine all your dry ingredients that you're going to put into a sifter later, more than likely.
Are we going to put that in a mixture of that? I was about to say, I don't remember a sifter. But anyway.
Show my knowledge.
Okay, so let's jump over here. And we don't even have a sifter over here.
Oh, so you couldn't have done it anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? That's, the power of Houdini. You can create a sifter if you need one.
Write one.
That's right. Okay, so let's go and get started. So we need flour, baking powder, and salt. We're going to mix these dry ingredients together, as you were just saying. Right. So we'll start out up here, and let's go ahead and throw flour. Let's throw our, last time was BS for baking soda. This time is going to be BP for baking powder. And then salt. And we're going to take these guys and we are going to mix them. All right, very nice. So now let's go ahead and jump back over here. After we do that, melt 1 cup of chocolate chips over low heat. All right, so what am I going to draw, Terry?
You're going to draw out the chocolate.
Okay. In this network here?
No, it's going to be a separate one.
Separate network at the moment. Okay,
that's right, because you're not going to combine this at any point with the well, you will eventually, but not right now with the flour and the dry ingredients over there.
So what am I going to do with my chocolate?
You're going to put it on a heat source.
All right, so a heat node. Excellent.
Now this is going to be important. You have to have low heat, so change the parameter to low.
Very nice. Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and jump back over here. All right, so we'll melt it. So there we are. We're melting our chocolate chips over low heat. Now, cream, butter, and sugar. All right, tell me where am I going to put these?
You're going to put them probably in the top right-hand corner. Get them out.
So another network?
Yeah, start up a whole new one.
All right, so throw some butter down?
Yep.
All right.
And you're going to make a sugar node.
Okay.
And you're going to mix them.
All right, very good.
Well, you're going to cream them, but you're going to...
No, you're going to mix them, but you're going to set the mixer parameter for mix.
Oh, that's right.
To cream.
Right. That's right.
All right, so we'll mix these guys. And again, the parameter setting is to cream. Mm-hmm. All right, so now we've got 3 independent networks at the moment.
Right.
So let's go ahead and jump back over here and see what the next step in our procedure is. All right, so melted, cream that, add melted chocolate chips and the vanilla extract. Okay, so we're going to add the melted chocolate chips, the vanilla extract, and beat in eggs, the flour mixture, and the remaining chocolate chips, because they had us start out with 2 cups.
Oh, I see.
That would be the parameter. We only did 1 cup. So we can actually bring in another node. So the first chocolate chips node could be 1 cup, and that's what was melted. And now we can bring in another chocolate chip node, which will be 1 cup, but this will not be melted. So it looks to me like we're mixing all of this together. And as we are mixing it all together, we're just beating the heck out of the eggs. Mm-hmm. Does that sound right to you?
It looks like it.
Beat in the eggs. It doesn't say beat the eggs and pour the ingredients in. So we're going to, once again, take our flour, baking powder, and salt that we've mixed together. Mm-hmm. We're going to pour that in, we're going to mix that in with our melted chocolate and with the butter and the sugar as well. And then also the extra chocolate chips and eggs.
That's right.
Okay. So now that we have a plan, let's go ahead and jump over here. So let's see. Where do we want to start out with? Let's go ahead and give ourselves a mixer. I'm just trying to think where I want to draw this.
Right, because you know that's going to be the end result for these 3 nodes are going to come together into one.
That's right. So we're going to take this guy right here. Mm-hmm. We'll bring him over. Okay. We are going to mix in some eggs. Mm-hmm. They're going to get beat in. So we'll take our eggs. We'll put that in there. We're going to take the outcome of our chocolate, put that in over here. Mm-hmm. We're going to, let's go ahead and we'll just right here, put another chocolate node down.
Right.
Why are we doing that, Terry?
Because you need to add in the second cup of chocolate.
That's right, the second cup. That's not heated. So notice by putting this node down, we're not running through the heat now. Mm-hmm. So we'll come over here and plug that guy in. And then finally, we're going to take our mixed butter and sugar and mix that. So now we've mixed all of this stuff together. So we've brought all these different networks together into a single network. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and jump back over and see what's next. So add blah, 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 done it all. Wrap in plastic and freeze until firm, about 20 minutes.
Hey, of course, everything is all...
They've got a good freezer.
That's right.
Sorry, that's the first thing I noticed. So it looks like we're going to take this and take this result and add it to what node next?
You're going to put it into a cold source.
Very good. So I'll just write cold down.
Like a meat locker, I think.
Exactly.
Frozen 20 minutes. Let's go.
And parameter, -300.
That's right.
That should work well. So let's go ahead and jump back over here and take a look at our procedure. Mm-hmm. So next is going to be make small balls about 1 inch. Roll in the confectionate sugar and place on an ungreased, and let's go ahead and move this down, ungreased cookie sheet and bake for 10 to 12 minutes and blah, blah,
350, right.
So basically, to keep things looking simple with our network, what we're going to do is take our firm outcome and we're going to more or less mix, and the way we're mixing it is by rolling it in the sugar this time. Once again, just a parameter settings. We're going to mix that in with the confectionate sugar, but the node is called what?
It would be sugar.
That's right.
Because the sugar, you would have to set the parameter for the confectioner sugar.
Exactly. So we'll go ahead and mix that, and then we take the outcome and
put it on a pan. Cookie sheet, same thing.
Yep. Just a parameter.
Put it in a heat source.
Excellent, Terry. Good job, man.
See? I picked it up.
Yeah, it looks like you're cruising right along now.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to tell you right off that this is not the result we want.
Okay.
You know why?
Why is that?
Because up at the chocolate and the heat source where you melted down the shaved chocolate, or the chocolate chips.
Back in this area right here?
That's right. You need to put a mix below that because you need to mix that with the vanilla extract.
Ooh, did I miss that just a second ago?
You did.
Oh, wow. Good. Let's jump back.
Now the result may be close.
Okay.
But it would not be what you wanted. So you could, right up there where it says, you guys can't see me pointing.
Add melted chocolate chips and vanilla.
That's right.
Excellent job. And this demonstrates the whole thing about being able to travel back in time and make adjustments. So we've just tried our chocolate chip cookies.
And something was wrong with it.
Something just wasn't right. I went back, I analyzed the network. Well, in this case, Terry came in and analyzed it for me and said, don't you need to take some extract? and mix that in. So let's go ahead and let's erase this out real quick.
Delicate operation.
Yes. Piece of cake.
There you go.
There. Now, let's go ahead and take these two guys, mix them, and take the result into the mixer.
Now you get the result that you wanted.
Fantastic. Isn't that awesome?
That's very cool.
The power of a procedural network. I can just go back. I can time travel, jump all the way back, add in these extra nodes. So we just added 2 more nodes. We added in an extract node and a mix node, and it changed our final result all the way down here. It gave it that right flavor. And we did what? We re-cooked it.
That's right.
So we re-cooked the network, and the result was spot on.
Okay. And tasty.
Now, for those of you that do have some 3D skills, or perhaps you've been working in a 3D application for some time, let me go ahead and just throw this out there. I was talking about how it's not like we're constantly cooking. That really does depend on what it is you're working with. I mean, so if you're dealing with particles and things that require a constant calculation of parameter values based off of a change from one frame to the next. And then you are constantly calculating your network, and you can see where that could get slow, but that gets into caching and all that to speed things up. That's something we'll talk about later. I just wanted to throw that in real quick in case somebody was thinking, well, what happens if you're dealing with a bunch of particles? Right, because the particles go through networks? Well, of course they do. Everything is in networks. I mean, that's just how it is. So, yeah, here we go. Terry, any questions?
No, I think I pretty much got it. It's very cool. It's very straightforward because now that I'm thinking about it, I really kind of want to jump into Houdini and start messing around with stuff to see if I can start going in there and changing the network.
Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you're, getting excited about getting into the application and playing with it. And the funny thing is, when you do get in it, you're finally going to be like, hey, wow, this is so similar to what we were talking about in these foundation videos. So now we've talked about nodes. We've talked about parameters. We've talked about networks. And we've talked about procedural workflow through the demonstration of several procedures through creating chocolate cake, chocolate chip cookies. No. Chocolate chip cookies.
That's
right. Chocolate milk, hot chocolate mousse.
We made a lot of chocolate things.
We did a lot of chocolate things. We sure did. But we washed dishes, and we washed dishes with oil, which wasn't too good. So hopefully at this point, all of our students out there that are watching the video are going to be in the same spot you are. They're starting to really pick up on the concept of connecting all these nodes together, and they see how we can go back and we can change something. And that is the nature of a procedural workflow. Okay. So with that is going to wrap up this video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.